Welcome back to the Thursday evening Cowboy Fashion Report. This evening I've got on another mind-blowing pearl snap shirt and those pearl snap. Now this shade could actually cause sensory overload in someone that's not accustomed and well-trained in pearl snap fashion. This is New Mexico bleached coral. And the New Mexico bleached coral is actually found on the southern coast of Tucumcari. And like I said, it's not for beginners, so y'all be careful. You don't want to take his fashion too lightly. Well, as any of you that's kept up with me know, I worked at the Pitchfork spring of 1990. That's 30 years ago. And had a hell of a good crew that year. And this story is actually about Jody Edwards and a couple more guys. Jody passed away a few years ago. And hell of a good guy, good hand, good friend of mine. And Marty Daniels was there. He had Croton. And then, of course, Bob Morehouse, my good friend, he was the manager. And I'm going to tell this story. And like I said, I was there. Everybody's still friends now, 30 years later, and I can tell it. Well, we was camped down at Croton, working Croton breaks. And sometimes we'd have to trot a few miles from the wagon and make a drive and brand jag calves here, jag calves there, and somebody'd drive the pickup in the morning, so we'd have the branding rig over there. And sometimes we'd have to all load up and pick up, drive back to the wagon, eat dinner, take a nap, and then go back, brand another little jag calves. Well, this one day we was coming in, and most of us was in the back end of Monty's four-door red Ford, and Bob was up there riding shotgun. And we come to the first gate, and we was all visiting back there, and whether it was an accident or on purpose, Bob got out and opened the gate, which is kind of a common occurrence, riding shotgun, but I can see both points of view here, and you will too, probably. As we was going through the gate, Bob's holding that wire gate up, and he said, when I was growing up, young fellas got out and got the gate. Well, now, any of you that know Marty Daniels know that Marty keeps his own big wooden spoon in the back of his pocket, and he loves to stir the shit pot. That's Marty's favorite thing beyond anything else to do is stir the shit pot. And he's good at it. And he says, well, when I was a kid, a fella riding shotgun got out and got the gate. And that's all that was said. So we get to the next gate. Jody jumps out of the back end, runs and gets the gate, and he's standing there holding it up as we drive through, and Marty says, get the gate, suck ass. Well, rest of the day, the next 2 or 3 days, Jody was suck ass. Get the gate, suck ass. Go get this, suck ass. Go get that, suck ass. Suck ass. You got to understand, you couldn't be on this crew and get offended easily. If you carried your feelings on your shoulder, they'd get knocked off pretty hard. And it was all in fun. No big deal about none of it. And happened that weekend, they had the Coors Outfit Ranch Rodeo there at Amarillo at the Ranger Riders Outdoor Arena. And I wasn't in it that year. I was in it the next year at the Bells, and we won the mare race. But anyway, had to pump myself up a little. That year, I don't remember who was anchoring, but Marty was mugging the mare, and Jody was riding. And it was part of the events back then. And it was the last event. And at the rodeos in the 1990s, the last event, sometimes you had trouble finding completely sober people anywhere on the grounds, including the rodeo. And Marty and Jody was both tuned up pretty good, but if you ever know Marty and Jody, they can function pretty well being tuned up. And of course, Marty got that mare mugged, and he's pretty good at stuff like that. And Jody's held a bronc rider, but this mare yard darted him out there and knocked him out cold as a wedge, and halfway buried his head. If you've ever stumbled your horse in the arena at the Range Riders, it's probably the indention that Jody's head left. You couldn't hardly see nothing but the back of his head and part of his chin. And like I said, he was knocked out cold as a wedge. But any of you that knew these fellers, you'll agree with me, they're tougher than boot leather, Marty and Jody. I mean, you couldn't hurt them with a sledgehammer. And Marty was the first one to him because he'd been standing right there, and everybody else started coming out there to check on Jody. And instead of helping him up, Marty just stood there over him and said, "Get up, you little suck ass. Get up, suck ass." And the rest of us got out there, and Jody started coming too, and Marty was still saying, "Get up, suck ass." And Bob said, "Marty, shut up." And Marty said, "You shut up, Bob." And Bob said, "Well, Marty, you can't talk to me like that." And in his tuned in state, Marty might have said something else, and Bob fired him right there in the middle of the arena during the ranch rodeo in Amarillo, Texas. Y'all keep snapping. I'll see you next week.